Hello and welcome to the Phantoms Weekend Preview Show. I'm Dan Breen and tonight we'll be looking at the Phantoms matches coming up against Bracknell Bees and the Manchester Phoenix. We'll be hearing about some of the news from around the league and also speaking to Ben Russell. We're also here in the HockeyDog shop and we'll be speaking to General Manager Kim Lane about what's going to be happening with the shop later on. News from around the EPL this week. And we start with the revelation from Telford Tigers head coach Tom Watkins that the Tigers players have been playing without pay for, according to some sources, up to 6 weeks. As of Tuesday the 22nd of November, the opportunity to invite bids to take over the running of the Telford Tigers had closed, but as yet there has been no announcement who will be taking over the franchise in Shropshire. Some better news for the Telford Tigers though. It was revealed on Twitter that forward Matty Davis is likely to be returning to action this week, having found out that the injury he sustained to his face is probably not quite as serious as first thought. So at least some good news for the Tigers out of all of this. Not so good news for the Hull Pirates though. They dropped to their first blank weekend, going down against the Telford Tigers on Saturday at home before losing 2-0 to the Peterborough Phantoms on Sunday. Head coach Dominic Osmond did, however, have a lot of positive things to say about his team, and that while he was very pleased with the way his team bounced back from the defeat to the Telford Tigers, in the end the loss to Peterborough was written off as being just not having the bounce of the puck. Also in the news this week, Manchester Phoenix have announced they have parted company with the Czech forward Marek Indra. Indra, who's played 20 games for the Manchester Phoenix, has scored just 5 goals for a total of 15 points. The decision is announced as being by mutual consent. Head coach Tony Hand has advised that he is looking for a replacement player, however it is unlikely that they'll have someone signed before this weekend. And lastly, news from Milton Keynes Lightning is that this weekend will be Nick Pool's last weekend with the Lightning organisation. For over a decade and a half, Nick Poole has been a fixture as a player coach and then bench coach with the Lightning before this year signing with the Milton Keynes Thunder and playing there. He said that he's really looking for a career away from hockey, and given his ties here and the time he spent here as a player, we here would also like to wish Nick Poole the best of luck with his future. So this week the Peterborough Phantoms will be on the road to the Hive, where they travel to the John Knight Leisure Centre to take on the Bracknell Bees. The Bees haven't actually won a game against the Peterborough Phantoms in over 2 seasons now. However, they do have some very handy players that are worth keeping an eye on. Our tips for players to watch this week are Luka Basic, very dangerous player. He's actually the Bees' top scorer, and he currently has 20 points from that made up with 12 goals. Also, a good one to watch is their top Brit scorer, the 27-year-old Bracknell-trained Alex Barker. Now, he's only got 7 goals for 15 points, but as I say, he is the Bees' top scorer and proved himself to be a constant danger man in the last game against the Phantoms. So on Sunday, the Peterborough Phantoms will play host to the Manchester Phoenix. As we're aware, the Phoenix have recently signed a couple of former Phantoms in the guise of Greg Pick and Eddie Bedbris. However, players to watch, as they have been for the last 4 seasons, really is their forward Robin Kovar. Kovar's currently their top scorer. He's got 11 goals for 28 points in 22 games. Their top British scorer this year is actually the former Phantom Eddie Bedbris. He's just 1 point behind Kovar with 11 goals and 15 assists for 29 points. I'm joined by Phantoms defenceman, number 5, Ben Russell. Ben, thanks for coming this evening.
No worries.
So the fans, this is your first season with the Phantoms. Fans won't really know you yet.
Yeah.
So let's start at the basics. When did you first start playing hockey? How did you get into it?
I think I was about 8 years old. I went one weekend and we went ice skating as a family. I think that evening there was a hockey game on, and actually it was. That was the first time I met Vito. Some people might know Vito over in Milton Keynes. Got talking to him. He said, "Oh, why don't you come to the Kings game tonight?" So we tagged along. As an 8-year-old kid, you always, you want to do every sport. I certainly didn't want to try everything and do everything. So I got into it, and 12, 13 years later, I'm still going.
So you're Milton Keynes trained,
yep.
But that's not the full extent of your training.
No.
I understand you went to the US and North America for a while. How did that come about?
So when I was 14, 17, I decided to move over to Canada. It was sort of out of the blue. I think I had a friend over there at the time, over in Canada, and then I was talking to him about it. It was nothing was really. It was just chitter chatter, and then sort of ended up going out to visit, and the next year I ended up over there in school. And my first year there was where I met Wahib, and we played in a school called Harrington College in Quebec. And then I moved on the year after to a place in Ontario called Ontario Hockey Academy, and that's where I finished high school, so I did 3 years there. And then my last year I moved down to Utah to play junior hockey.
Yeah.
And then spent the year there, and then came back to the UK after that.
So after 2 years with Milton Keynes, obviously that would have been our fans' first real taste of you as a player, having seen you probably in the wrong shirt, but other shirts are available.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so we were seeing you for a couple of years at Milton Keynes. You did a year at Manchester. Going from training under Nick Paul to then going under Tony Hand, again, was that much of a change in style and big difference for you?
I think the difference was, I think Paulie had like, the tight knit group there, and everyone sort of knew each other and knew what was going on. So he didn't. He coached, but his systems were already in place. Like, he knew what he wanted to get across, and all the guys knew that anyway. So it was just about me learning it and being helped out. Up in Manchester, Tony did the best with what he had. We didn't have many guys. There was still a core group, but it wasn't as big as the group in Milton Keynes previously. So I think that they both had different coaching styles, but it's always good to get a different coaching style. Tony taught me a lot, as did Paulie. So both were good learning experiences for me.
And now, obviously, working in Slava Kulikov.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because obviously, like I say, we'd known you from Milton Keynes or Manchester. Next thing you're here. So how did that happen?
I've actually spoken to Slava a few times throughout the years. When I first came back, I actually spoke to him when he was at Slough. For whatever reason, I signed him in Keynes. We did speak last summer, but it was late on in the summer. So I think this year, we started conversations early. It was always a place that I'd admired and would like to come and play. I think the rink suits me as a player quite well. The team, the way we play as a team, suits me quite well. We're a hard-working team. So I spoke to Slava early on, and it just seemed like the right time for me to move on. A bit closer to home as well, so it seemed like the right time to come.
Yeah. Now, in the original PR when we spoke about signing you, you mentioned that you just finished your degree. What was the degree you've just completed?
I just finished my criminology degree at Leicester, so it was a good 3 years there. It worked quite well last year with me being up in Manchester, believe it or not, but it was good.
So criminology, what made you pick criminology? It's always interests me, I have to admit.
I mean, there wasn't really any. I thought if I'm going to do a degree, I want to do something that interests me, and I think I'd enjoy. I don't want to go to university and do maths or English or anything like that. So I thought, I looked at the universities, and that was there in Leicester. So I thought, why not? I'll just go for it, and yeah.
So just a couple of quick ones then to finish off. Who have been your favourite line mates to play alongside?
Don't want to upset anyone here. I think as the partners, I'm going to go with defenceman, just because that's what I play with. I played with Michael Farn in Milton Keynes quite a lot. Me and him had quite a good partnership. Taught me, he helped me integrate into the league quite well. But then last year I played with Mark Thomas as well, who, that was my partner last year, and a guy with such experience, taught me an awful lot. Me and him had a good laugh together, and I always called him a grumpy old man. But beneath the grumpy old man, he was a good guy, and he helped me out quite a bit and taught me a lot. So I'd have to say probably those two.
Excellent. I think last one for us before we let you go. Have you got any particular pre-game routines you go for, pre-game rituals?
I've got quite, I wouldn't say rituals, but I think it's just over the years it's just become habit. I've got some borderline crazy ones. But, you know...
How many are repeatable in polite company?
Yeah, like the usual ones. You know, I usually get my left side on first. Whenever we skate around and like have the huddle behind the net, I always stand behind the net. But yeah, there's a couple that are just ridiculous, so I'm not too sure why I do them, but I pick them up along the way, along the years. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy training tonight.
I will.
And obviously, we'll all see Ben on at the weekend. And we're joined in the HockeyDog shop by General Manager of HockeyDog, Kim Lane. Kim, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
So, just quickly then, why did you start HockeyDog? What was the reason for getting the shop going?
I was given the opportunity, challenge from my parents really. They obviously the owners and the main sponsor of the Phantoms. They also have the second team for the Islanders at Peterborough, and also included in the juniors as well. So they wanted to bring all the hockey in Peterborough together really. We saw the shop set empty in the rink, and we just wanted to help everyone else really.
Okay. Now, although people know you possibly more for being here at HockeyDog, you play in the Women's Premier League for the Bracknell Queen Bees, as well as being GB International. Has that been useful experience with finding stock and setting the shop up?
Definitely, yeah. Obviously, you have your own preferences when you're playing, but I'm not too picky, so it's nice to shop around and see what's about. And obviously, every time a box comes in, it's like Christmas. Really get to have a look what's coming in. So.
Yeah, kind of the hockey player magpie mentality kicking off there. Okay, so coming forward now, the shop's nicely established. It's running well. What developments have you got coming up?
We've got our website launching on Friday, which is very exciting. Obviously, it's going to be a big step for the shop. Try and make a bigger audience and see what happens with that. But if you just hit the link over there, then you can check it out.
Excellent. Kim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So that's the weekend preview show for this week. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to our guests, Ben Russell and Kim Lane. If you're interested in seeing the HockeyDog website, the details for that are here. And don't forget, Phantoms are at home on Sunday, 5:30 when they take on the Manchester Phoenix in our last home cup game. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Sunday.